Right. Ready?
Is it recording?
Yeah. Okay, hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week's video is a little bit different. We're about to do life as a pastor's son. Let's go straight into it. So one of the first things I wanted to ask you was about your upbringing and how was your childhood, and was there ever moments where you thought like, wow, my childhood is so different than like those of my friends?
100%. The first thing I always noticed was just conversations at school. So of course, like my parents, I wouldn't say they were very strict, but they had their ways and rules and things that they wanted to implement in me from young. So one of the first things, obviously, you know, everyone loved Harry Potter. I went to school in Surrey, so everyone's talking about Harry Potter now, and I'm like, I don't really know what that is. Like, I'm not allowed to watch it. Like, I used to ask my mum, "Oh, can I watch it?" She's like, "No, it's demonic."
My dad was like that.
All that stuff. Yeah, man.
No.
Why do you not watch that? There's
Yeah.
spells, everything. So obviously, I think at that young age, it's probably about what? When did Harry Potter come out? When he was like 9, 10?
It was like while
Maybe 11, yeah, like early teens or before.
I think even before that, you know.
Yeah, it might have been before, but I was just
Yeah.
trying to understand, okay, cool. These kids are allowed to watch that, it's fine for them, so why can't I? So it just obviously started to help me discover some of the principles and things that my mum and dad had put in place. Obviously at the time, it feels like, oh, it's unfair, like what's going on, all the kids are doing this and that. And then obviously you start to understand, obviously I've watched Harry Potter now, but it's just at the time, it was just like, oh, okay, I wonder what they were trying to protect me from.
Now that you've obviously gotten older, what have the sort of expectations been or pressures, and have they changed like now that you're older, or have they been like the same thing?
From my parents, it's always stayed the same, like God bless them, like they've been good parents to me, I have to give God thanks for them. But from others, I think is where it changes. So like when I was younger, it was like, oh yeah, you're gonna be like your dad, you're gonna grow up, like you're gonna be a pastor. And then they would say that, but on the one hand, then they'd be like, oh, pastors' children are the worst, they're so naughty, because I was quite a naughty child. Quite naughty. You know what? I just had bare energy, so I'd always be running around the church, like just running up and down. I think even one time, this is quite a mad story, but basically, so after church, my dad finished preaching, and I was playing with my friends outside, and he just got a brand new Audi A5. And for whatever reason, I decided to stand on top of the car to try and be cool in front of my friends.
You're a madman.
I'm a madman, didn't realise I had rocks in the bottom of my shoe.
Oh my god. Scraped the
whole top of the car. Like, he came out, he saw me, and then, yeah, the rest was history.
But in a situation like that, does he shout at you in front of everyone? Does he just...
I think, you know the ones where you're so angry, like, you're just like, get in the car, we're going home kind of thing, and obviously... If you're Jamaican, you know what happens when you get home. But yeah, so like I look back on those moments, I just think, what was I on? But of course, like I still appreciate the way my parents handled situations.
So now there's no pressure about being a pastor?
I wouldn't really say there's as much pressures. If anything, it's more subliminal. Like when I was younger, it was more blatant, obvious. Like when I was younger, they'd be like, oh, you're going to be like your dad, or why are you misbehaving?
Who used to say that?
So like church congregation or people that I used to...
Was there more of a pressure from the rest of the church?
Yeah, rather than my actual parents. Yeah, my parents wouldn't. That's why I said they stayed the same. Like it's not like they would push me to do anything. Like one of the things I appreciate about my dad in particular, like for example, football. So obviously every young boy wanted to be a footballer. I got to semi-pro and whatnot. But before that, obviously when you're playing at younger ages, games are on Sundays. So obviously there's a conflict there. But what I'm really thankful is that my dad even took Sundays off, because if you think about it, he's the pastor of the church. So more time, he needs to be there all the time. But there was times where he would actually take time off and take me football. Do you know what I mean? So for that, I would say I appreciate it. And obviously it would be probably quite different to many people that are, let's say, pastor's sons. Because I've got a lot of friends that are like, have parents that are pastors, and their upbringing I would say has been maybe the cliche one where they're not allowed to do anything. But what I've obviously seen from experience is that when you do that, the person ends up worse anyway, because especially when they go uni or something, like they're trying to get away from all of the like strict rules that their parents have tried to put in place.
Talking of uni, what sort of pressures did you have there, and what were your lowest and highest points?
So with me, I'm not the type of person that will come out and say my dad's a pastor. So for example, a lot of people, when they found out, like, is it like a bear shot? So
I was like that.
Yeah, exactly. She's there. So it's not something you just come and say like, guys, guess what? My dad's a pastor. Like, do you know what I mean? You just, if someone asks or someone's close enough to you, they find out. So I think going back to the other question, just to join on to this about the pressures, I think that is the kind of type of pressure that exists now. So it's like when they find out, now they're looking at you different, or now they're expecting certain things of you. At uni now, so the first thing I noticed was zero boundaries. Like uni is no behaviour. So for me, even when I used to go motives up until I was 18, my mum and dad would pick me up because I started driving at 17. So early 17s, yeah, I was eager to drive, man. I had to get out there. But early 17s, I had loads of birthday parties. So at first, my parents would pick me up. Now, obviously, parents have a time. So they would always say, I'm picking you up like 12.
Yeah, that curfew.
And you know that everyone knows that the motive gets live around that time. Yeah. So me, I would, you know, be at the party, whatever, have my phone on silent, be doing whatever. Parents would be outside calling me, lose track of time. And I remember one time specifically, this was
you let them stay outside?
No, I didn't know they were there. So say for example they said they're coming at 12, I'll look at the watch, it's 11:30, like come on, okay. Half an hour time. But you know things just like, you're talking to certain people, a banger comes on, like, you know how these things get. So cool, they were waiting outside for time, ringing off my phone, my phone's on silent. And then I think my dad came in the motive. Like, this was ages like young. I remember being so embarrassed. Like, he didn't do anything, he was just like, been waiting outside. And obviously imagine I'm with my friends in the middle. I just see, I'm thinking, what's my dad doing here? So like obviously going back to uni, one thing I noticed is that there's gonna be none of that. Like, there's no boundaries, like no dad's picking you up. If you get stranded somewhere, you're stranded. You better make sure when you go out you can get home. So like I just started learning about why they had put these things in place.
So what is the best part about being a pastor's son?
Best. I think the wisdom that you get from having like parents like that. When I was younger, all I used to care about was the food. So for example, when we go to meetings, like obviously because they would be pastor, they'd be sitting at the front, and then like after they'll get taken to like a special room and given food. Get served first, all of that stuff. So that was a good privilege.
Cool. And what about the worst part?
Ooh, the worst part, probably like the way that everyone else treats you. So like everyone expecting you, or basically saying in your destiny that you have to be this, like, or scrutinizing you harder, or you know, putting you into a certain box. Has
your religious life been consistent throughout your whole life?
No, not at all. So for me, I obviously grew up in church my whole life. Just go on Sundays, like there's nothing else I've been doing apart from football.
That's all you know, really.
Do you know what I mean? That's all you know. 27th of February 2017 was when like I just remember sitting down and saying, wait, this all makes sense. Like
that one moment?
Yeah, like that was my pinpoint moment where I sat down and I said, I'm actually going to do this for myself. Like, yes, thanks mom and dad, you've got me this far, you've showed me all these things, but now I actually understand that it's my own personal relationship. The hierarchy changes, so it's like parents tell me you go church, you go church. Mom and dad, I want to go church, they're going church as well. Do you kind of see what I'm saying?
So you're at that point.
Yeah, I'm at that point now where it's like I'm doing things for myself, like to the point I come and tell them, yeah, I've got this meeting, I'm going to this concert. Like gospel, of course, but yeah, going there. Not that you can't go to other concerts, because I go to other concerts, don't get twisted. Based
on how social media is inflicting our whole lives, it literally affects everything we do, it influences our behaviour. How have you managed going through life with all the pressures from other people, some pressures from your parents?
But with me, I've always been wary of it, like probably since Facebook days. Maybe this was God trying to protect me. Like I've never really grasped onto using it. Like, you know, you have different people that love it, like use it, will live their life, and then like if you was to go on their page, you'll be able to find out what they're going through, who their last boyfriend was. Yeah, like me, I was never really like that. So it didn't affect me as much. But what I have seen is that, for example, people's thought processes. So for example, Twitter's a big one. Like Twitter will say men are trash, everyone will say men are trash. Or Twitter will say this is relationship goals, then everyone decides it's relationship goals. Like,
it's so
I remember
annoying.
I made a tweet like, don't let Twitter logic decide what you actually think. Like, Twitter just says the most craziest things, and then it will get 20k retweets, and people just suddenly agree.
That's suddenly scripted.
People live by it. So for me, I think you just have to actually sit down and think, okay, cool, what do I believe in? Because the truth is, it is easy to get lost in it. The one thing for me that I do, I just try to not spend as much time on it. Like, only go on there to like encourage or like check certain things, or like just tweak or decide which people I want to follow and like which things they're going to be feeding me. Because the truth is, like, social media, it feeds you. So whatever you see on there, you're going to become a product of it.
How has being a pastor's son affected your relationships, friendships?
So obviously, first off, I had my first girlfriend when I was 16, so just college times. And so, for example, this is another one. So like staying over, so staying over. So my parents, they already done the, you're not staying over their parents' house unless I know them. Normally, like unless they're Christians or I know of them or I've at least met them. So that was the first challenge. Like of course, as we say, this day and age, social media, fam, these people are moving in with their partners, getting married at 16, like doing all holy for madness. Of course, at certain ages, that's just not appropriate. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually true because everyone's seeing like what a relationship should be like. So that's why from early, people are trying to do the most.
Just do the most. Like I'm seeing now, like 15-year-olds like going on holiday, and I'm just thinking, wait, that was not the norm. Like you'll be lucky to go cinema. Like, do you know what I mean? Like cinema, maybe Fort Park for the day, but going abroad, it's crazy. So obviously you see how social media like changes it, vacations, all that stuff. So one thing for me that I'll always stick to is just, you know, obviously sticking by the word, but just being wise. Like if you're 16 years old, there's no need for you to be doing that stuff. Like take your time, because the truth is, like you don't even know if you're going to marry that person. Like there's a lot you need to get to know. So that was one thing. Then the next thing, of course, is the big one, sex. So my parents obviously taught me that no sex before marriage. Now, of course, I'm being very transparent. I wasn't able to uphold that, but nevertheless, I now am celibate and, you know, I'm abstaining until marriage. But I think, of course, there's a whole level of dangers that happen when you do that. But of course, sometimes in life, experience is the best teacher. So for me, learning, you know, about the dangers about it, all the spiritual aspects as well as the physical aspects that happen, that was a big thing that obviously informed my relationship. So one thing that I'm going to definitely instill into my kids is that, listen, I'm not saying, well, I am saying you can't do this, but here's the reason why. Because you know, sometimes when you're told no and you have no reason,
and you want to
do it even more. But I will definitely inform them that, listen, these are the things that you're going to be opening yourself up to, and when you're choosing your partner, you need to make sure that they have the same views as you. Because say, for example, you go into a relationship with someone, it's all nice, you like the same music, then you sit down to talk about, okay, sex, and they're like, oh, I don't really find it that bad, like, what's wrong with it? We're just like, okay, it makes us closer, and all these little phrases that they can say, but then you know deep down in yourself that that's not who you are, that's not what you want to do. But the difference is, because you, let's say, love the person, or you've been with the person for a long time, you then sacrifice your own values. So something I'm definitely taking forward, and obviously I'm in a relationship now, godly relationship, thank God, is that you make sure that the person is on the same path as you, mentally, physically, spiritually, and that they agree on what you agree on. Because it says in scripture, it's Amos 3:3, that two people cannot walk together unless they agree. And one thing that I've learned throughout, you know, my parents allowed me to have relationships, and me obviously furthering my relationship with God, is that two people need to agree from the start before they start walking. What people do is they start walking together, they get down the line, they're like, oh wait, I don't even, like, it's a bit where we're going different paths on this issue, but really and truly you should have found that out from the start. But
do you think that's hard though?
It is hard, it's definitely difficult, and I'm speaking from experience. That doesn't always happen, do you know what I mean? And sometimes you do need to walk, stumble, find out that, you know, it's the wrong thing, to be able to turn away, and then that will teach you for the next time. So I hope I answered everything correctly.
Very nicely. Thanks for coming.
No problem.
If you have any questions for
Alex, further questions, hit me up on social media.
Yeah, you've done this before. What's your socials?
I haven't, but I just see they always say it. But, so my socials, it's a.m_1 on Instagram. On Twitter, it's Mr__am, and that's me.
Lovely. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you next week.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
Lovely.